What's up all you beautiful people, my name is Zack Dowdy and today we are talking about no comply tricks on transition. We're going to head over to Memorial Skate Park here in San Diego and dive into some of the specifics. This is a super fun trick. It took me a really long time to figure out. I actually didn't start doing this trick until later, doing harder tricks. So you can definitely learn this trick when you're a beginner or an intermediate. It seems to be a trick that you can learn at any skill set. Going to warm up, get some no comply started before I start telling you how to do them, because I gotta make sure I have them today. You never know. Sometimes you just don't have the tricks that you think you have. So some super small transition, that's what we're gonna start on, because that's what you should definitely start on with this trick. Also, noping is gonna help. Noping is basically at the top where it's just concrete. There's no coping, no metal, no pull coping, nothing like that. It's gonna be a lot easier to kind of lock into and get used to no complies. Also, the other thing before we jump into how to do them is no comply to tail slide or no comply to any trick on the lip is a lot easier than straight no comply. Straight no comply is the hardest no comply version, actually, in all honesty, but we'll get into that last. First, I'm gonna warm up, get some no complies going, and then we'll talk about my perspective on how to do them. When it comes to no comply transition variations, the first one that I learned was actually no comply disaster. It's a lot easier. It's easier to kind of jump up. There's more trial and error with it. There's more room for error. Where no comply tail slide, you kind of got to be more accurate. You really got to push it straight into that tail. So the first one we're going to cover is no comply disaster, because I think that's the easiest one to learn. Much easier than just straight up no comply up and down. A lot of it is just the same as a no comply 180 on flat ground. Really, you're doing the same thing. But the one really secret sauce to this no comply disaster trick, or any no comply disaster, or any no comply trick on transition, is going from low to high. It is a very low to high trick. So you want to plant your foot lower on the transition and work your way up. If you plant your foot really high, it's really hard to get on top of the no comply. So everything I was just skating is actually outside of the park. That is the entrance to the skate park. Now we're inside the park. We got the notorious key bowl behind here, and they got a really sick snake run over there. But yeah, learning no comply tricks on bigger transition does help if you're just trying to go straight up and down no comply 180. If you're trying to get up to the coping, starting on something smaller is definitely going to be an advantage. The reason I say that is because, like I said, you want to start low to high. So the real trick to no comply disaster is you already have to know how to do a frontside disaster. That is going to be one thing. And just kind of scooping and popping low and keeping the board underneath your front foot is also going to be a really hard thing to do. And what I'll say with that is try not to pop too high. Really, you want to scoop the board up and over and onto the disaster. You're not really trying to pop into the disaster. It's just about like getting your foot off and having your back foot hovering over it the entire time, then trying to place it on top of the deck and then getting your front foot on it at the same time. Now, the one thing that you got to be careful with is, like, landing with your back foot on the deck and then your front foot off, because then you can do the splits and a lot can just go wrong there. So definitely try to catch it. The one thing I can say is you can kick it out. You know, when you're just learning how to do no comply disasters, you can kick it in front of you and it doesn't have to be so much under you. And then getting it under you will come with time once you get comfortable with getting that front foot over it. So popping it super low, you want to scoop it up, and then you slowly want to kind of get your front foot over your board. That way you land with your front foot on it at the same time. Then you're just doing a front side disaster. So now I'm going to try to work my way up to some bigger transition with coping on it. Now I'm getting a little more comfortable with my no complies today. Back here, there's about like a 6 to 7 foot transition it looks like. I'm going to start low and slowly work my way up to no comply disasters. So my feet move around quite a lot when I'm just doing regular no complies, and we'll get to that no comply air 180 at the end of this video for sure. I'll explain a little bit on how to do that from my perspective, but as you can see, controlling my feet is kind of hard. They're kind of all over the place when I'm doing no comply 180s because there's such a disconnect with your feet. You're popping, you lose a little bit of connection sometimes, and your front foot's just wobbling to get back on. It could be a messy situation, so that is a common theme when trying to do no comply tricks on transition. And I think it takes time to get better at that, but one thing that you can really do is just constantly aim for where your spot is, and consistency. So constantly doing just no complies over and over is going to help. But now I'm going to try to get up onto a couple no comply disasters. Gonna put how many tries that no comply disaster took me. It took me over 20 minutes, we'll put it that way. But something that I was thinking about the whole time is like, man, I told myself in the very beginning, it's a low to high trick, no comply disaster. So once you get to something higher and there's steeper, it's more steep, so there's less of a flat area for you to really plant your foot. You're already kind of vertical. So once you get to higher stuff, no comply tail slides are a lot easier than no comply disaster, because you can kind of start low and then push them up into the tail slide. You don't even have to tail slide at first. You can just put it right into the tail and then slide. What up, G? How's it going? Ah, thanks. Hell yeah. What's your name? Sebastian?
Yeah, Sebastian.
Sebastian. Shout out Sebastian on the channel. Shut up. Thanks, dude. Appreciate the love, man. Hell yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah, G. What's your name?
Alberto.
Alberto?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Shout out Alberto. What's your Instagram?
Forgot it.
Oh, you forgot it, but we'll put it down below when we figure it out. I'm struggling right now. It took me 20 minutes to land one. So yeah, when you're starting low and you're going up, it's a lot easier to get into the no comply tail slide than the disaster. So with that said, if you're getting into disaster, try to start as low as you can on the transition, because then you can get that sort of pop, and that's what I had to remind myself, and then I can do it. So no comply tail slides are definitely a lot easier to approach when you're on something a lot bigger. Shout out to the homie for the quick skate session. Shout out to all the subscribers out there. Appreciate you, love you. If you want to skate together, show up, let's do it. So when it comes to just straight no complies, not no comply disaster or tail slide or revert, any of that stuff, because that stuff's really fun. And I think you can learn it first before you do straight up no comply on transition. But the real trick is all the things that I said before, you apply those same techniques. And it is a very much straight up and down motion. That is the difference, where no comply tail slide, you're pushing it in front of you. Disaster, you're trying to like keep it kind of like straight under you, but still in front of you. And with the no comply, really you just want it underneath you the whole time, but you're still pushing it up. But my point being, it's a very much straight up and down no comply motion. You're not really trying to travel it too much. So I think that helps. I think when you're on lower transition and you're pushing it up to higher transition, you can almost like push it onto the transition and then jump on with your front foot. Like, that's a way to learn it. It's not really the proper right way. Somebody might give you shit for doing it that way in a game of skate or something, I don't know. But point being is that's like a way to kind of like baby step a straight up no comply 180 on transition.